Before this video begins, I would just like to say, yes, I see your comments. A review of Hell of a Boss Season 1, Episode 2 will be coming out soon, but we're doing this first. Enjoy the video. Blood magic. No! My philosophy in life is if a spell requires blood to be accomplished of any kind, it is not worth doing. Blood may be one of the most powerful ingredients you can ever use in witchcraft, but because it's so powerful, things can go wrong in an instant, especially if deities and spirits are involved. Spiritual intent alone should be more than enough power to achieve what you want to achieve. Intent goes a long ways, and it's a lot easier to undo than if blood is involved. You're free to disagree with me all you want, but let the record show that I, BlueRaven 666, do not condone the use of blood magic. Okay, so friendship spells are kind of a gray area for me. If you try to cast one on someone that just absolutely hates your guts, then there's not much separating it from a love spell. However, if you cast someone that you're pretty alright with, then it could set things into motion. It'll be very gradual and realistically achieved. They might step out of their shell a little bit and strike up a conversation, and it'll develop from there. However, just because a friendship spell has been placed into effect doesn't mean you don't have to do some work yourself. Obviously, friendships take efforts from both parties in order to be maintained, otherwise you're just going to drift apart when that spell wears off. And really, do you only want this spell to tie you two together, or do you actually want to have a genuine friendship with them? And God forbid they find out about the spell. Okay, baby witches, specifically minors who are still living with their parents. Class is now in session. You are not ready to use black magic. Black magic is not a beginner's practice, and it's not a generalized term for witchcraft. In black magic, you are messing with forces that can royally mess you up if it backfires. Every kind of spell has a potential to backfire, and of all the spells out there, black magic spells are the one thing you don't want backfiring on you. When I say witchcraft is something that I cannot teach you overnight, this is exactly what I mean. You don't one day decide to become a witch, and the very next day you're throwing hexes and curses and spells and potions and stuff like that. Learning all this stuff is going to take years of your life off. Until you can do things for yourself, stick to the bare basics. Yes, in fact, the spirits you named are perfect examples of that. The S word specifically is the perfect example of a person who was corrupted by magic. Every single S word has killed a person in order to gain their powers, and they felt no remorse or guilt doing it. And they're more than happy to do it again, and as many times as they'd like, in order to keep that power. They are so corrupted by magic, they can hardly be called human anymore. Nah, scratch that, they can't be called human anymore. This is why we say that those entities are not to be messed with. While yes, some beings are misunderstood, these entities are not. They welcomed their curse with open arms, and therefore they are extremely dangerous. Yes, this entity is very dangerous. They are not spirit guides, they are not protectors. These entities derive pleasure from killing and taking life. And just as an added bonus, I'm going to go over the W word from Algonquian folklore. Those aren't spirit guides or protectors either. Anyone who thinks they're being protected by one of those entities, double check and make sure it's not Furfur. Furfur's a Gosha demon, and he looks like one of those entities. The W word may not have accepted its curse willingly, but that doesn't make them less dangerous or misunderstood. Understand, these beings' hunger will never be satisfied. And they sure as hell are not going to put their hunger aside to protect anyone. They're savage beasts, mad with hunger. That's all. Don't mess with these entities. Yes, there is a major difference between witches of folklore and modern-day witches. We do not ride around on broomsticks. That's not a thing. There is no defining mark of a witch. I know folklore and stories tell of us having warts and boils, and there are things that have spread around this app saying, oh, if you have this mark on your arm or on your finger, then, you're a witch. That's not a thing. Yes, I realize that my face does have its fair share of blemishes. But my freckles and my quote-unquote moles are genetic. These dark spots here, just about everyone on my mom's side of the family gets them the older they get. Our powers do not come from the devil, they come from our own spiritual intent. Making a pact with the devil to become a witch is not a thing. I'm doing a part 2 to this question because why not? Contrary to what Hocus Pocus says, we do not desire children. I think I speak for all of us real witches out here when we say we don't want to harm a child, we don't want to harm babies, your children are safe. We do love black cats. In fact, a lot of us love just about any type of animal. If I could, I would adopt all the black cats. And no, not because there are little agents, because they're freaking adorable. Seriously, save the black cats, are not loved enough. The black pointy witches' hats and the cloaks and whatnot are just an aesthetic thing. They're not required. Not all witches use black magic. Some do, but not all of us. Our hexes cannot turn you into a toad or any type of animal. Seriously, WitchTok, stop spreading that lie. That's why people won't take us seriously. Our universe was not created by anyone. That has been the one aspect about God that has never made sense to me. Before he created the universe, where was he? What we do know about our universe is that it's vast and it's constantly expanding. Hear me. Just because it exists doesn't mean it was created by someone. Humans came about through evolution. We share a common ancestor with apes. The Earth itself is 4.5 billion years old. There's countless scientific research that proves the existence of dinosaurs and Ice Age and stuff like that. Just because I'm religious doesn't mean I'm going to deny blatant scientific evidence. We're past that. In the end, God is not the grand creator. Well, if you ask most pagans like myself who Jesus is, you're gonna get a pretty rude answer. I'm gonna give my answer in the most polite way that I can. There's not that much of a difference between Jesus Christ and his Father, the Christian God. If you think about it a little bit, Jesus Christ is basically God's self-insert character into our reality. If you ask me, Jesus and God are like one and the same. Jesus was just the incarnate form God chose to take, which deities do every now and again. Don't ask me if I know if Lucifer or Ram or Asmodeus have done this. I don't know. Lucifer's actually been gone all week, so I don't get my boxers in a bunch over any talk of Jesus coming back one day. And that means I'm especially not concerned about December 21st. Hear me? Nothing's gonna happen. So I've been pondering as to whether or not I should make this TikTok for the past hour. But hey, we're gonna do it anyway. I want to see if someone from this pantheon can give me a little bit more insight, because I hardly know anything. Venus, the Roman goddess of love, sex, and marriage, came to me in a dream last night. And all she had to say before I woke up again is, help us. Anyone got a spiritual connection with Venus that can translate? This is the first time I am working with an entity that is not a member of the Ars Goetia or a fallen angel. On another note, she is hot. She is hot. Okay, so here's the thing. Chances are a lot of the stones and crystals you hear about being used in witchcraft, you're not going to find just laying around outside. They're usually mined, cut or broken apart, and then sold in shops. Finding a crystal in the wild is very rare. Now, that doesn't mean that if you find a random stone outside that you like, that you can't incorporate that into your craft. Us witches look like weirdos picking up random rocks and sticks outside for a reason. We feel this strange sense of attachment to it, and we have the urge to pick it up. So just because it's not quartz or amethyst or moonstone doesn't mean you can't incorporate it into your craft. Same goes with fake crystals, which can actually turn out just to be just glass. If you feel an attachment to it, you can use it. Yes, I can. As I've stated in a previous video, he is the 40th member of the Ars Goetia. He is the first entity that I started working with regularly, and he has been a major help in terms of me learning witchcraft. As I've also said, he is incapable of speech, he'll make sounds. When I looked it up online, it said he would make hooting sounds, kind of like an owl. But those aren't the noises he makes with me. He appears to be in what could be considered his demon form, with the head of a raven, the body of a man, and legs that look something akin to that of an ostrich. So when he does try to communicate vocally, they kind of sound like the noises a raven would make. He's really tall. Like, I'm willing to bet he's taller than Lucifer by a lot. He's not all that picky with offerings, and usually in exchange he'll offer up knowledge about witchcraft. It's not so much that I can hear Rom, it's more of, in a sense, that all of a sudden I know this information. Like, 1 second it's not there, and the next second I know how to make spell jars. I know a hex that feels forbidden to know. I know ingredients for hexes without even looking them up. I don't know if this is his idea of a prank, but he told me this was a good idea and Lucifer is not amused. When he tells me something, it's more or less similar to a psychic connection. You know, when you and your best friend look at each other, smile, and realize you are thinking about the same exact thing? It's kind of like that. What do witches mean when we say we work with our deities? Let me use Lucifer, Ram, and Asmodeus as examples. Lucifer is one of my primary deities. He strives to answer any sort of questions I have and guide me on my spiritual journey. Lucifer likes it when I ask questions because that keeps me from being ignorant and expands my knowledge and understanding of what's going on. Asmodeus helped me be comfortable with my gender identity and sexual orientation. Every time I felt like I was questioning myself or my dysphoria acted up, he was the one to get me back on track and to tell me that everything was alright. Ram helps me with my witchcraft and my divination skills. Whenever I give him an offering and he accepts it, he normally offers me something in return. This is nice because it spares me from spending hours online trying to shift through information and figure out what's what. And these are just some of the ways that these entities help us. Fellow witches, what are your stories? What kind of convoluted nonsense is this? My automatic response was going to be, what do you think? But that would be impolite. I don't think so. I've said it before, but I think it bears repeating. Nothing's gonna happen tomorrow. December 21st is gonna be like any other day, except for maybe a big star in the sky. The reason why people are getting their panties in a bunch about this is because it's supposedly supposed to make the Bethlehem star. Jesus is not coming back. People of color are not going to get superpowers. December 21st is going to be like any other day. The only thing that's happening tomorrow is my paycheck's going to roll in. Dude, you were not wrong. I just spent probably an hour in meditation, and spiritually a lot has happened. How do I explain this? Lucifer and Venus have become my primary deities. Yes, as separate individuals, they are not the same. And where a deity has entered the picture, an entity has left us. My journey with Asmodeus has come to an end. As you can see, we've made some alterations to the altar coffee table, if you want to call it that. Is it sad? Yes. But I know he's not going to be gone forever. Do you think Asmodeus knows how to stay away forever? I'm sure he's bound to come on back to visit sometime. But in terms of my work with him, our journey has come to an end. Let me just show ya. So everybody got an offering of some sort last night. Rom got some Kahlua. I don't think he's all that fond of it. And Venus and Lucifer got some red wine. At first I didn't notice anything at first, but if you look very closely, you can see the line of where the wine was and where it's at now. These are probably the most significant offerings on Rom's part of the altar. Everything that's right here has a link to the past. The slab of wood is a real piece of wood, and the rings represent its age. The earrings were originally mine and have some kind of memory attached to them. This little tear-shaped one is from prom. This brassy one is from when I first got my ears pierced. And the red one is from when I got my left ear re-pierced. I would have originally thrown these away, but I still had an attachment to them, so I gave them to Rom as an offering. Part 2 to this question, because 60 seconds was not enough time. So with certain offerings, like the piece of wood and the earrings on Rom's part of the altar, yes, I leave those because those are now his. Perishables, like drinks and food, can be disposed of, especially if they're gonna go bad pretty quickly. However, you are free to do with them as you so please. That means if you want to, I don't know, use them as an ingredient for a spell, you could do that. Especially if I know it's an offering that my deity has accepted. The idea behind this is if the deity has accepted the offering, they are now, to a certain extent, attached to that item. So, say I wanted to take one of those earrings and put it into a little spell jar and ask Rom to protect someone, he could probably do that. And the same goes if I wanted to hex someone.
Like I said, they have chili, thyme, rocks, and shards of glass.
Girl, I knew as soon as I saw that video, I had to get on this case. That is definitely a hex jar. The two major ingredients that got me were the chili powder and the shards of glass. Dead giveaway. Chili powder or any ingredient that is spicy or has heat is meant to bring heat into your life. Anger, rage, dissatisfaction, and could even symbolize a heated relationship. Shards of glass never resemble anything good when it's used in a spell. Could represent a painful life, a painful upbringing, setups for emotional pain or physical, mental, or emotional abuse. The person that gave you those jars clearly wanted to do you and your daughter harm. I would dispose of those contents immediately, you don't want that anywhere near you. Thank the gods that's an ex-friend. So this is going to be a part 2 from the video I stitched involving the mother who received the hex jars. Some people in the comments were saying that it was actually a protection spell, that the ingredients symbolize protection. Hell no, they don't. Chili powder, used to spice up someone's relationship, along with broken glass to deflect negative energies. I can probably think of at least 5 herbs that can do that shit. That'd be a hell of a lot better than chili powder or broken glass. And just rocks in the spell jar? Not crystals, not important stones. And sealed with red wax to amplify the effects of the jar. And it was given to her by an ex-friend? Red flags. Red flags everywhere. I am so upset! I'm currently locked in my bathroom with incense ablazing, with protective crystals and stones scattered every motherfucking where, because my dumb ass broke a mirror. And this isn't exactly the most upscale of places in Michigan. The likelihood of any negative entities being in that mirror are extremely high. My dumbass just moved into this apartment complex a few months ago. I am not about to deal with 7 years of bad luck. And the rest of Pandora's box is right over there. And what makes this even more stressful is that I'm probably about 10 feet away from a smoke detector. Please send help. So I've gotten a lot of people who have asked me what deities think of their portrayal in media. Movies, TV shows, games. A lot of people are concerned that they can't enjoy a movie or a game without offending their deity. Let me tell you something. These deities have been around for a long freaking time. You know, like every single horrible thing to ever happen in human history ever? They've seen all that. If anything, I think they get a pretty good laugh about their portrayal in media. If you play Obey Me Shall We Date, Lucifer is not going to get offended. If you watch the show Lucifer, he's not going to get offended. He actually thinks Tom Ellis is pretty fucking hilarious. Detective is a running joke here. Trust me, if they can figure out a way to get a kick out of something, they probably will. You've got to have a sense of humor, otherwise you go crazy. Oof. And someone needs to come get my ass then. Guess I need a shrink. Somebody get in contact with the nearest mental institution. Because my ass needs to be locked up. Along with every other pagan like me who has claimed to work with their deities as well. But you know what? I can't hate you too much. After all, I used to have the same mindset as you and be in the exact same position. But am I hurting you? Am I hurting anyone by doing what I'm doing? If you don't believe what I believe, that's fine. If you don't agree with me, that's also fine. But don't treat me like a little kid. Just roll your eyes, take a breath, and swipe. Okay, if you insist. I gotta go to my bathroom for this. Okay, so, our options are kind of limited here. Bleach blonde, and I got this blue hair dye. So, do you just want to go with the bleach blonde dye, or do you want to go for blue as well? Also, how far away do you live? Is this gonna be like a couple-hour drive? Do I need to get a plane ticket? What are we doing here?